What do I love about a grown-ass woman? There's so much to love.
Now give it to me.
She's unapologetic. She shows up in every space exactly who she is. She wedges the door open for other women to follow. I'm Shannon Allen, and you're listening to Grown Woman. You suffered an incredible loss. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much we want to talk about that, but your songwriting partner, our collaborator, Grammy Award winning, on the Latin Grammy Award production committee and the board of the Latin Grammy Awards. Yeah. Prolific songwriter, producer, master percussionist really, and producer, Ecstasy.
Yeah, that was his artist name. His name was Juan Abreu, but his artist name was Ecstasy. Everybody knows him.
Known all over the world.
All over the world. Danza Kuduro, a whole bunch of hit that he's done. So yeah, it was a sudden loss, and that has affected me a lot.
Yeah, yes. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable, unexpected loss, and absolutely devastating, but he gave us a gift. He gave you a gift.
Yeah.
You experienced real love with him, and encouragement, and he helped you get out of your shell for music. Yeah. He dragged you out. And it was intimidating to work with him because he was so successful and so loved. And he had such everybody, like in reggaeton, like all these, he's an icon. And so I can understand why having me in there with you to give you some support was helpful, because X is like, he's doing things.
That's why he got his name. He's always, people thought it was not. He was against, he loved natural stuff. He was a nature guy. He loved
birds.
Birds. He told me what the birds and the bees were. And I always appreciate people that ask me about that, because I don't get to speak about that as much, because he didn't get his flowers. So I feel like every opportunity I got, I want to give him his flowers.
I'm glad.
He taught me how to really be, when we speak about grown women, he taught me how a grown woman should be treated. He taught me my worth. I remember he saved me from, I've always been in relationships, but he saved me in the sense of what he left for me was to know what a man and the partner that I want should be. I don't ever want to limit myself by saying that I don't want to love again and that I don't want to be in a relationship again. No, I feel like every love is different. I feel like it will never repeat itself. What we had, I remember one time I was in her house and we were walking and I was having problems because we go up and down, and she was like, "This man is in love with you." And I was
madly.
And I was like, you know what? And you saw it for yourself. We wouldn't open a door.
Nope.
He was so high strung that he would open everybody's door. If I was with my group of females, everybody's door was open by the time we got to the car.
Yes.
He would carry
gentleman.
He was a gentleman.
Yes.
He
amazing father.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, he loved his kids.
Loved kids.
Loved kids, period.
And that being said, it allowed me to understand that even as I get older, I may not have my partner, I may not have my person, but I'm not going to limit myself to know that my self-worth is not negotiable, that I have to set my standards, that I have to allow and also be guided. I want to be a woman. I'm choosing to be that woman that I'm open to what life has to offer, the person that I'm supposed to be with, the career that I have to be, always driven by God, and that the control is in me, setting up the platform that I need to allow these things to happen. Whether it's emotionally, whether it's crying here, telling you what it is, whether it's I'm still grieving, but yeah, I'm still doing my thing. I still gotta have my jump off, whatever it is, and I don't have to explain myself to anyone.
You don't. You're a grown-ass woman. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody. But what I love and what I loved about you guys together as a family is that, to me, when you were with X, actually, I don't even know if I know you. I didn't know you before then. I only knew you with X. But I knew your stories of past relationships. Mm-hmm. X encouraged you to be in your divine feminine.
Allowed me to be.
From what I saw, and I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but in our family's interactions,
what happened?
I already know.
That was the quiet. I was like, yo, he looked like a nerd, but don't sleep on them quiet ones, honey. That intellect, baby, that brain, oh my God, that brain taught me so much. I was always learning. Behind closed doors and in front.
Yeah. But he wanted to encourage you to be in your divine feminine.
Isn't it crazy?
To be in your goddess energy, because he really showed up as a man for you.
And when we speak
was his
about
energy.
women, right? And I'm glad that you're speaking about this because I feel like sometimes we don't understand that also acknowledging a good man is a good thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm raising a son, you're raising a whole bunch of men,
a whole frat house full of sons. But you said something earlier that I think is so key. You said when a man makes a woman feel safe. I say this to my husband all the time. You make me safe. When a man makes a woman feel safe, you can have whatever you want.
Anything. He had anything from me, and I used to tell. You know what I used to tell God? I'm never leaving this man unless you take him.
That's it.
I'm never leaving this man unless you take him. I was in my full feminine, like I was able to trust and depend, because when you become independent as a woman, when you're raised by your father and your mother and your father tells you don't depend on no man, and you're able to kind of let go and depend on someone, and you know that they're going to be able to do that, cook. He was able to cook or run my feet.
Run the kids.
Yo, one
God's
time I had to do, I do fashion week and all that stuff. And my toes were a mess and I had to wear the sandals. This man got on his feet and he was painting my nails.
You know what he did for you?
I could have dropped my panties right there in front of him. I told makeup, hair,
you
bye.
probably did.
Everybody need to go. I need a 5 minute.
We need a closed room. We need a closed set. Listen, do you know what he did for you? He lightened your load.
Oh my God, that's what he did.
He lightened your load. He lightened your load. Because you had a load. You know, what our parents say to us stays on us. It stays on us. It's hard to shake that. You know, it's hard to shake that. But he saw that you needed your load lightened, and he lightened your load.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about Milan.
Yes.
Please. I know that you and Melvin fell in love young, and you started to build a relationship and a commitment, and you were a nurse.
Yes.
You were a great nurse. You were a labor and delivery nurse. Tell me a little bit about where you were and what you and Melvin were experiencing when you found out you were pregnant with your son.
Yeah, so when I got pregnant with my son, so I did labor and delivery for the first 5 years of my nursing career. And then the last 3 years, I transitioned to being a home health nurse because Mackenzie was born and I wanted more freedom and flexibility with my schedule. So I wanted to be home more with her. So working as a home health nurse gave me that autonomy.
So you already had 2 baby girls at home.
So I had 2 baby girls at home. And I decided to, before I had Mackenzie, I decided to go back to school to further my career and become a nurse practitioner. In the middle of my nursing program, I got pregnant with her. So that was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna clearly finish school because she was born prematurely and I wanna focus on my baby. So 3 years later, as I was working as a home health nurse, I decided, I'm done with having kids. Let me try to go back and pursue and become a nurse practitioner, which is what I was doing when I got pregnant with her. Had the support of my husband, and I enrolled back into the nursing program. And then I found out that I was pregnant that January with my son. And it wasn't a planned pregnancy. And it was like, this just came out of nowhere. And well, not really, but
How did Melvin feel when he found out you guys were pregnant with a third?
Excited. We were excited. So when we found out, it was kind of like a surprise because we were not planning for it, but we were excited, to bring another child into this world. And then we found out that it was a boy, and that was just like even more like exciting. He was super excited that he was going to have a son. And I carried him for 8 months, and everything was great during the pregnancy.
Felt good.
Felt good, had no issues.
Normal doctor's appointments, ultrasounds.
Everything was normal. And
you knew what to look for because this had been your expertise.
Yes.
You were a labor and delivery nurse for over 5 years.
Nurse. Thought I did everything right. Thought I knew everything about labor and delivery. And I did know a lot. And that's why when it happened and I had the uterine rupture, I knew exactly what was happening, which was the most tormenting thing ever when I was en route to the hospital, because I knew this is bad.
Did you ever have a feeling during your pregnancy with Milan, throughout any of this period, did you have anything in the back of your mind, okay, I had this placenta issue. I need to be thinking about this, that my uterus is in a little bit more fragile state than it was with Mia. You
Yeah,
did.
I did. And I even brought it up to the doctor. And that's why, I wanted to bring awareness to this as well, because my doctor blew me off. And he was like, oh, you'll be fine. We're going to schedule your C-section. And obviously, I'm not going to live in guilt, but I dealt with it for a long time. Like, I should have spoke up more to advocate to have a C-section earlier, instead of allowing the doctor to say, oh no, we're going to schedule you for next week. I was in the hospital, I was having contractions, and then I went home. They discharged me home. And I fought with the fact of oh, I should have stayed in the hospital because they could have just delivered him there. So I went home, and then a week later, I started contracting again. And the more you contract, the more it rips at that scar. So the week later that I came home from the hospital, the scar probably couldn't take it anymore. It was already weak. And I remember Melvin had went out to a family function, so he wasn't at home. As soon as he came home, I felt like a burst in my stomach. And I knew then what was happening.
And what did you feel? Were you in terror?
I was terrified. And I was in so much pain. And I remember telling myself oh my gosh, I don't want to get pregnant again, because it was so painful. And I remember thinking I just hope everything's okay. When we got to the hospital, they put my baby on the monitor, through the monitor in my belly, and his heart rate was so low. And the doctor wasn't there. And I remember asking and yelling, where's the doctor? His heart rate is low. The doctor needs to come now.
And they're ignoring you.
They were, I wouldn't say they were ignoring me. They called the doctor, but the doctor was at home. This was not a high-risk hospital. So they did not have a 24-hour OB doctor that was on call that can do the C-section. And he had to come from home. So the time that it took him to get from home to the hospital, too much time had passed. And when he finally got there, my son had no heart rate. And at that point, it was too late. Yeah.
Worst possible scenario.
Of course. It was terrible. It was terrible.
In that moment, what did you cling to?
So in that moment, first I was angry.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was angry with the hospital. I was angry with the doctor. And I believe I went through all the grieving stages. Mm-hmm. And I went through the point of asking why. Why did this happen to me? I did everything I was supposed to do. And then I had to learn to, accept.
Because Milan didn't pass away at first. He was on life support for a period of time.
Support, but there was so he was on life support because we were not ready to let go.
Yeah.
We were still holding on to hope. And his body was there, but he was not there.
Did you hold
had
him?
No functioning. Yes, I was able to hold him. And, we have pictures, and it was so hard for me to even talk to this about his situation with my girls. I didn't even know how to tell them, your brother's not coming home.
Oh.
So yeah, it was really hard. But I do cherish the moments that I was able to spend with him. I remember going into the hospital when he was on life support, and I would read Bible scriptures to him. And I just felt even though he was here for a very short time, his purpose was so big and so impactful because he brought me closer to God.
And that wasn't a part of your childhood. That's one of the things I remember from the book.
Exactly.
You did not grow up in the church.
No.
Is this through losing your son? Is that how you found God?
That's how I
Was
found
that
God.
your breakdown before your breakthrough?
Yep.
And
Because God was the only spirit that I could hang on to.
that was it. You would have died yourself
Yeah.
without God. And even though you had Melvin, and I'm sure your mom was there,
Yes.
and I'm sure your dad and your brother were present, and you have a whole community of people that love you, you clung on to Jesus.
Yep. Because Jesus is the only one who can save me. And I was clinging on to hope and anger, but also just very happy and grateful that I'm still here.
Amen.
And I'm here present, and I can raise my two girls,
Yes.
so even though it was painful, there was a gift and there was purpose within that pain.
Oh, I'm so grateful you're here. So through this process of going through the worst possible scenario, but coming out on the other side grateful, you experienced a personal physical representation of trauma where your hair started coming out in clumps. because after losing Milan, you were shedding.
Mm-hmm.
You were going through an emotional and a physical loss through all your stages of grief. When you started losing your hair, what was the thought that was in your mind that said, I'm a nurse, I know organic ingredients, I know about products, I have to heal my hair,
Yeah.
I need to start feeling like Monique again. I'm just gonna get in my kitchen sink and I'm gonna start mixing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're like, where does that come from?
I wanna know. I wanna know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when you go through postpartum and you go through like the normal shedding of postpartum hair, because your hair grows when you're pregnant. And then once you lose all of that hormones and that blood circulation, then the hair goes through like the shedding process. And I started being real in tune with just hairstyles on social media and looking at like different products and how they worked and performed. Like I just went down this rabbit hole of just like this interest, and I was so intrigued. I've always wanted to be in the beauty space. So this passion was just re-emerged going through like grief and allowing my grief to open up this creative outlet, because it helped me get my mind off of going through what I was going through with my son.
Yeah.
And so I was seeing all these beautiful curls, and I remember like, oh, when I was younger, I used to have like these beautiful curls. What happened to my hair? Yeah. And I wanted to restore my hair. And for me, that was my little project.
I had my daughter in 2015, Vivian, she's 10 now. Right around kind of 6 months in, we started to see signs that she had food allergies. And then right after her first birthday, we had a really scary incident with her food allergies. She had gotten tested recently and she wasn't allergic to peanuts. She was allergic to like almost all the tree nuts. And they were like, you should introduce peanuts as soon as possible. And so our nanny, Martha, who's an equity holder in Partake, gave her a snack that had 2 ingredients, peanut oil and corn. And I remember her scream. I was on a conference call. It was a Wednesday afternoon. I will never forget this. And she had given her the snack, and immediately, like, Vivi's lips started to swell up, her tongue started to swell up. She couldn't breathe. She was turning blue. It was like something I would never wish on my worst enemy. Thank God we had been given EpiPens, and so we administered 2 EpiPens. We lived 5 minutes from a hospital. We rushed her to the hospital, and she was fine, and she hasn't had any like allergic reactions since then. For me, seeing how food allergies really could become a matter of life and death, and very quickly, I felt like I had to do something about it. And that was the incident that really sparked what I'm doing now.
So do you feel like that moment with Vivi was your breakdown before the breakthrough?
It was step 1 of my breakdown. Step 2 of my breakdown was, we lived in New York City at the time. We had access to the best of the best stores, and I couldn't find anything she could eat that I felt good about. Like taste-wise, everything that was allergy-friendly tasted allergy-friendly. Yeah. Nutritionally, I thought, well, if it's gluten-free or vegan, it must be healthy, but it wasn't. It was often full of like the weirdest fillers. Exactly. And then I thought about, to your point about brand, I thought about the emotional impact that having food allergies has on people when you're not able to safely and confidently participate in social events that include food, which is like all of them, especially for a kid. And I was working in emerging food and beverage, and I could see like, no shade, but like the brands were so lame. They were brands that people were forced to eat because they had no other option. I was like, well, this is not good enough for my daughter. And then kind of step 3 in the breakdown, the reason why Martha has equity in the business is because she's the one who really pushed me and was like, you're helping all these other people build their dreams. You sit around here complaining about all the stuff you can't find your daughter. Why don't you do something about it?
Martha,
like
you're the goat.
Martha is the goat.
Really? So she actually was like, look, Denise, here's the problem. You know what the problem is. So here's the solution.
Yes.
And so like how did you get the money to start? Did you just get in your kitchen and start baking gluten-free, vegan-free, peanut-free cookies? Like, how did this work?
So Martha kind of like said the thing, and then the following weekend, we were in line at the zoo. It was like something out of a movie, which is why I know I'm on the path that I'm meant to be on. I was telling my husband, Jeremy, like, you won't believe it. Martha has this crazy idea. Man in line in front of me turns around and he's like, it sounds like you have a really good idea. There's a small business pitch competition called the Start Something Challenge. You should enter. So this was on a Saturday. The deadline to enter was on a Monday. I went home. I incorporated a business that I called Vivi's Life because I didn't know exactly what I was going to do other than make Vivi's life better. Okay. I entered the pitch competition with an idea. It's like a legit pitch competition with like Blackstone and Whole Foods as judges. And I win. And I win $10,000. And so that was great. But the thing that was the most important, because I don't know that I would have ever had the courage to actually leave this like corporate career that I loved, that was paying me well. It came with some local press. And the last thing I needed was my boss to see me in the newspaper like, woman wins, allergy, like all the things. And so I was forced to immediately tell Coke, like, I have this idea, I'm working on this thing. I entered this pitch competition. And to their credit, they were so supportive. And they said, when you have an actual product, there's a conflict of interest and you got to hit the road. But until then, as long as you're doing your work, do what you want to do.
Really?
And so that kind of like set in stone a date that I was like, okay, I'm going to have to go by this date.
So you got Vivi's life, but you don't really know what that is.
I ain't got nothing else.
So when you did,
That's it.
I love you for winning a pitch competition with nothing.
I can't believe that.
Guys, I've got a name.
Right.
I've got a name. I've got a story. So you had no products at that point. You didn't bring anything for anyone to try?
No, because I didn't know how to make it.
When I first started my first company, it was me running the inside by myself. I literally was just talking to someone a couple days ago and they're like, I remember when you were literally taping the boxes in your garage. And yes, it's one of those stories. Building a company from scratch in today's world is a whole different world. But back when I started this company 20 years ago, it was bootstrapped, it was self-funded, it was slow and steady, utter devotion and dedication. And, here I am today. 20 years
Amazing.
later.
Tell me about the jump from owning that first salon.
Yep.
How many seats did you have in that first salon?
We had 22 employees, 11 hairdressers, we had receptionists, we had shampoo people, we had manicurists, we had facialists. So it was a little bit of everything.
And
it was
you were
about
willing to pivot
3,000
throughout
square
the
feet.
process?
Oh, yeah. So, but I stood behind the chair all day still doing clients. So my days were really, really full. I remember, obviously working Tuesday through Saturday behind the chair. My Sundays and Mondays were stocking inventory, making sure everything was ready for that, and obviously doing payroll and everything else. So it was a lot, it was a lot, but I loved it. I love my industry. So I was really, really happy.
And was
to
it a
do
success out of the gate, or were there stops and starts?
I had bought a salon I worked in. So yeah, it was successful. It was successful.
And then while you were in that process and you were continuing to work with people on your clients, holding space for other stylists and hairdressers to get their own client bases up and to have their own credibility in the marketplace, when was the point when you decided this isn't enough for me, even though I have a successful business? I want to go to the next level and I want to create products.
Yeah, it's interesting because behind the chair, I had a lot of frustration.
Did you?
I remember cherry picking collections that would, no product line had everything good in it. And I always wondered why. So I had 14 different lines that I carried and I would cherry pick them. So it kind of fell into my lap, becoming a hair product manufacturer. So I ended up marrying a gentleman who was a salesman within the beauty industry. And so I moved to California. I sold everything I owned. Talk
Including
about
the
believing
salon.
in love.
Including the
everything.
salon.
I had a condo. I had a business. I sold everything I owned. Moved across the country and married this guy. And so he worked within the industry, similar. But in sales within product lines. And so he had lost his job, and he's like, "Let's do our own line," and we did. And we started a hair care line, bootstrapping it from nothing. And we ended up kind of moving it to Florida. So that's how I got to Florida.
Okay.
And we lost everything. We completely failed. We lost over $500,000.
Wow.
And
Everything you
we
had.
got divorced. Yep, we got divorced. And we decided, during our divorce, we were like, let's try it again. We picked up and we literally only had $80,000. He had 40 in the divorce and I had 40. And we each put in $40,000 and we started It's a 10 Haircare with one closeout
product.
bottle, the Miracle Leave-In product. And we started it with just the one product. And that bottle today sells 11 million bottles a year just in the United States. So I bought him out in 2017.
Wow.
So that was a huge undertaking. But, those years together of building that brand from nothing were a huge learning experience for me and him. He was not the inner office person. I ran everything in the
He was
inside.
outside talking to people,
Outside,
kissing
sales guy,
babies,
sales guy,
shaking hands.
Sales guy. Yeah, I created the products. I worked with vendors, and he worked with marketing because he had been in the beauty industry for a long time. So we would put our heads together and come up with marketing concepts, but he couldn't work a computer. So it was me, QuickBooks, ordering, all of that, as well as designing and creating the products. So for 10 years, that's what I was. And so when he...
And I love the story of how you came up with the name.
It's a 10, yeah.
It's a 10.
Meaning it's
It
the
has
best.
everything. It's got
the best.
everything.
So he actually said, let's say it does 10 things. I'm like, perfect. And he says, we'll call it 10. I said, no. Because I know when I work with chemists, I literally say to them, it's a 3, it's a 6. Like, go back, add this, put in the slip. And so really it was a collaboration. I'm saying we need to say it's the best. Like, this was my dream, to really create the best products within the industry. And I was committed to that. And I learned from the previous company failing. We both did, you know, and some of the lessons that we learned were just priceless. Obviously, anytime you fail, that's just part of life. It is an absolute learning opportunity, no matter how much it hurts. I mean, obviously, it was a major part of the win.
Yeah.
But you know, I still fail. I fail every day.
Oh, you know? God, I love that honesty. Yes.
It's part of life, right? And we go through the growing pains and the learning. And that's, to me, the fun of it. It's all about continuing to learn. Even if I'm, 42 years later in this industry, it's all about that process.
Tell me about Cam.
My son Cameron is 7 years old now, and I was pregnant, first son, only child thus far. I'm pregnant. I know nothing about being pregnant. I have a few friends that have had the experience, but I'm brand new to this. I'm still at my corporate job at the time. I'm building my stuff on the back end for fun at that time, and I am 6 months pregnant. I'm at my job, and I leave to go to my 24-week checkup. Okay. Go for a sonogram. They do the sonogram. They're doing it really long. And even his dad at the time leaves. We sit through the sonogram, and then he leaves because he's got work. And then I go in the back room, and I'm sitting there forever. And then 3 doctors come in and shut the door, and they're like, hey, are you feeling okay?
3 doctors.
And I'm like, yeah.
So not an ultrasound tech.
No,
3
doctors. And I can tell because everyone's white in the face. And I'm like, what is happening? And I'm clueless. And I was at work, so I was like, hey, I'll be back in 30 minutes.
Yeah, you're in your lunch
I'm still
break.
in my,
Yeah.
And they're like, so a couple things. Baby's the same size he was a month ago. Hasn't grown. 2, your blood pressure is like stroke level. So you don't feel bad? And I'm like, I feel fine. And they're like, okay. All right, we're just going to run some tests. So call work. You probably won't go back to work today. We're going to run some tests, and hopefully we can get you home and get a plan. And I'm like, okay. And they send me downstairs, and they run some tests. An hour later, they're like, hey, you're going to stay a couple nights. We don't know what's going on. We're not happy with what we're seeing. You're going to stay a couple nights.
And where are you in your headspace right now? Are you in pure panic mode?
No.
You weren't in panic mode.
I'm numb.
You're numb.
I'm numb. And I think something in my body was preparing for, okay, maybe you're not supposed to be a mom in this season. Maybe you need to prepare. And I know that in me is that I get into shutdown when things don't make sense for me because I'm trying to prepare for the worst. But I don't want to go into like believing that something can go wrong.
Okay.
So we're 2-3 nights in, a neuro specialist comes in and is like, hey, so here's what's up. Is it your kidneys? My protein was through the roof. So he's like, so your body's shutting down. This baby's making you very sick. He's also not growing. So he's a lot smaller than we would have liked him to be at this point in your pregnancy. So we have 2 options. We'd like to keep you either overnight until you're 34 weeks so we can deliver a healthy baby. So that is 10
weeks.
10 weeks. So you're
In a hospital.
moving in, or we might be lucky enough to send you home, but you would have to come check in with us every 2 days. So either way, one thing we know for sure is you're not going back to work. Call my job, let them know. They're like, what? You were just here.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know. This is wild. And they're like, okay, we'll prepare for it. And next day they say, you're not going home. You're moving in. We need 24-hour care observing. 5 days later, I'm in the one night my mentor gets there and she sends my son's dad home. It's like, go rest, go shower, go whatever. Me and her are laying in bed. We make the baby shower list. She's laying in my hospital bed with me. We're laughing about it. She's trying to get me in good spirits. They come check my blood pressure every 3 hours. She goes to bed on the couch. I go to sleep. They wake me up at 3 a.m. I wake up. There's 10 people around me. And they're like, hey, wait, hey, can you hear us? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. They're like, we're taking you down to labor and delivery right now. And I'm like, why? And they're like, your blood pressure is so high, you're going to have a stroke. This baby is killing you. And I'm like, no. I'm 25 weeks pregnant. And they're like, I know, honey. And the doctor looks at me and he goes, they're wheeling me out. And the doctor looks at me and goes, I need you to know if it's over you or the baby, it's you. And I need you to be okay with that.
This is the worst case scenario.
And I'm like, what? And he's like, it's you or the baby. I'm picking you.
That's what the doctor said.
Yes. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I immediately go numb. I'm like, okay, prepare for the worst. Like, you're losing this baby. Because there's no way I'm delivering a baby at 25 weeks. And you told me he hasn't grown in a month. I don't know how big he is. I don't know anything. They take me down there. We make it 2.5 days. They deliver the baby. And to tell you how small my son was when he was delivered, as I'm pushing, he's like, I want you to stop, just cough.
Cough.
I said, what? He said, I want you to cough. Like you are about to choke, cough. And I was like, okay. And I cough and he comes out. He looked like the size of a frog when he came out. He goes, do you see him? I make the joke now because he's healthy, but it looked like Chick-fil-A in my hospital room. There was about 15 people lined on the wall prepared to take him when he came out. He goes, do you see him? And I said, right before I pushed, I said, is he gonna make it? And he goes, I don't know. If he cries though, when he comes out, that's a good sign. And when he pulled him out and he said, do you see him? And I said, yeah. And he patted him on the back. He cried like a cat. I heard a cat sound. He kind of like
a little meow.
It was like a me. And he goes, great, get him out. And they took him.
Who is this doctor?
Right?
Who is this doctor? Where are you? We need more of you, sir.
One day I walked in and had a heart attack because there was
Not a literal heart attack.
No, but I walked in and there was a needle in his head. And I was like, whoa, why are we doing? And it was taped and it was in, and they said those are the best veins for babies and we're preparing him for another surgery. They would call me every morning and say, this was such an experience for me because I had just never experienced anything like it. They would call you every morning to check in. And the best advice I ever got from a nurse the first time I got to see him was I said, how does this work? What do I do? And she said, well, if I can give you personal advice, don't ever stay the night here. Because I could, because there was a bed in there. And she said, because just don't stay the night here. It'll mess you up. And I never did. I would stay till 1 a.m, but I would go home.
And why didn't she want you to stay the night? Because she didn't want you to not be able to heal yourself and to rest? Or she didn't want you to see all of the comings and goings?
She didn't want me to see the coming and goings. They lose babies. There's music that plays when they lose children, unfortunately. And there's beeping and noises and all the things all night. And he was so little that his heart would stop a lot. What do they call it? Like the break something. And it will freak you out. Parents freak, but it's normal. Because they would call me the next day and say, oh, he had a real silly night. And what they meant by silly was like his heart stopped several times. So it was like,
what in your young life prepared you to deal with this moment? This is crazy. This is like inconceivable trauma.
But this is the best part. This is the best part. Like,
please get us to the best part.
Yes. There's trauma. And I always think, I remember one day when I was holding him, because they always wanted me to do the skin to skin. Yeah. And I'm holding him and he's wrapped in all the cords. And I'm like, God, if you let me take this baby home, like I swear I'll spend the rest of my life showing him why and explaining to him how resilient he was.
So
because if anyone's ever taught me resilience, it's this child. We got that baby out when we got him out at 82 days. So they said, hey, here's what you're leaving with. We closed the hernias. He has a hole in his heart about the size of a dime. The brain bleeds a level 2. We grade them 1 through 4. We'll keep checking on this. You'll have to see a specialist that flies in from Miami every week for his eyes. You'll have to see a cardiologist every 2 weeks, and then it'll increase to a month. And we'll have to observe the hole in his heart. If it doesn't close by the time he's 2, we'll have to surgically close it. And he'll probably never see normally on his own. Okay. Honey, that boy is 7 years old, and the worst thing he has is asthma. He's thriving.
Praise God.
Thriving.
Won't he do it?
Won't he?
So when you created Epic, and obviously Cam is your Y, is Cameron the capital C in Epic?
It should be.
I'm an idea person.
Epic
so I'm like,
is an acronym, and it stands for Evolved Past Your Consciousness Media.
So tell me about the day. Cal was playing soccer.
He was playing soccer. I was actually running around because I was going to speak on the West Coast for an event. And I was just doing errands, and I got home. I was actually going to go to lunch with one of my girlfriends. And I got a phone call. I was at home. And they said, he's collapsed. And I was like, what? Like, I was freaking out. And someone else got on the phone, and they're like, he's okay. Like, just come to the field. I think they were just trying to calm me down. So I found out where he was. He was only playing like 5 minutes from my house at the time. So I ran to Moakley Field in South Boston. And I was expecting to see him like sitting up, you know, with an IV or getting hydrated. And that's not what I saw when I got there. He was lying flat on the field. And I think he was gone at that point. Yeah. So I fell to the ground, and we took him to the hospital, and it was just the worst.
The worst possible scenario.
Yeah. They came in, like all of his team members had come into the room. One of my best friends was there with me, who I was going to go to lunch with. She found me, and the doctor came in and said he didn't make it. And everybody, I just remember it was like being in a dream, because everybody reacted around me, and I was the only one who didn't. I was just sitting there because I couldn't absorb it. Like It just like went through me, and it was just the start of a very hard year ahead.
My God, Suzanne, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
And so that moment was your breakdown.
Yeah.
The lowest you've ever been.
Yeah.
The hardest life has ever been. What did you cling to? Because I don't know if anyone, you hope no one ever experiences this, but people do. You just said the stat. How many people suffer massive heart attacks and don't make it? These are huge numbers.
Huge, like over 350,000 in the United States
In the United States alone. And I know for Black women, it is the number one killer of Black women in America.
Yeah.
Congestive heart failure. Gone.
Yep.
And so here you are in this room, and your best friend, your husband, the person you love, who knows you better than anyone, is gone.
Yeah.
What do you do next? What the fuck do you do next?
I know. Shan, like I have to say, there has to be improvement on grief resources. And especially in 2009 is when he passed away. There was like, I felt like there was nothing. Like they're like, it was so prescriptive. It was like, here are the 7 steps of grief. And this is how you it's linear. And you go through it, this. And it was just so much miseducation. And people saying, or educating people, like, you have to say the person's name, you know, so the person who's grieving doesn't think you forgot them. But for me, it was the opposite. I was like, don't even bring him up in the past tense or I will freak out. I didn't want, like, I wasn't ready to absorb it. So I think my takeaway was that grief is so personal. Like people deal with it so differently. And, you know, people who have gone through a long illness with somebody will grieve differently than somebody who has a sudden death in the family or someone close to them who dies. So that really impacts how you grieve as well. So I learned all of these things. I want to be transparent now because I want to, if someone's listening, I want them to understand that there's more, you know, resources out there and you can find what you need. Might take a little bit of work, but, you know, if something's not working for you because people say this is the path you're supposed to be on, you can find something with the resources that are available with talk therapy, with, you know, friend groups, with, you know, support from your family that can get you through.
How much of the support of the UN came to play in this difficult moment?
It's so interesting. For me, they were all there. You know, they were all there. But for me, I had to sit with myself for a year. Like, I didn't want to talk. I wanted to work on the foundation, which we started in his honor.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the foundation.
I basically started it, like, I feel like the next day, you know, just
Really?
so I would get up.
So you were like, I'm devastated.
Yeah.
I'm devastated. I am distraught.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in service.
Yeah. And like, have something with purpose to do and wake up and have something to do that was connected to him, that kept him in my space, in my orbit. Having like a dialogue with him almost, you know, through the sport that he loved and like trying to integrate him into everything. You know, his Jamaican heritage showed up through like the t-shirts and the things we did with Nike, you know, and to see the kids gather at these affordable camps and clinics in Boston
girls and boys ages 8 to 18, and integrating that hour of education, including hands-only CPR and AD awareness, nutrition education, as I know you have a passion for that. Like, you know, wellness and well-being, and our tagline is for soccer for life. Things you can learn on the field and take it off the field and apply it to everyday life. I can't tell you how many people helped me, like, put the foundation together. Like, friends from Arnold, like, you know, the UN, and like all of his soccer, like he was a coach at Newton North High School, and he was a boys varsity coach. Today, there's still some of his players that participate in the camps.
Because they love him.
They love him.
Yeah.
He's just like connected with everybody he met.
And so he's still impacting lives.
Yeah.
He still has an impact.
Yeah.
He still has a legacy.
Yeah.
You
This
get
is
to
his
keep
foundation.
him. This is his foundation.
This is his foundation.
What an incredible gift, a testament of your lifetime of love.
Yeah.
During my time at MIT, I went through a very insane tragedy with my dad passing away in a highway accident. And the way that MIT showed up for me when I was actually ready to just throw in the towel, that's something I will never forget until the day I die.
So what did they do?
So my parents sponsored a bus trip for kids to visit Hampton University every year, open house. And my dad was a president of the North Carolina Hampton Alumni Association. And this particular year, the bus ran off a straight road in Virginia, flipped over and ejected both my parents out the front window. And my dad didn't survive that. And as you can imagine, things like that just change your life. And I had left MIT because I had finished my credits early. So I started at JP Morgan early, but I was still technically on paper a student at MIT. So they got in touch with me. They heard about it, and they would call me like every day, every other day, text me. They found out that I wasn't eating. I didn't eat for like weeks. They sent me food
My God.
to my parents' house
What?
in North Carolina.
That's the kind of support.
Beyond that, my tuition account ended up having like a $1,500, $2,000 balance on it. And you get this note saying that, hey, in order to be cleared for graduation, you got to pay this balance or you won't graduate.
Right.
And I was like, I don't care. I told them, I was like, I don't care.
Because your relationship with your dad was so strong, and losing him felt like the end for you.
It was my dad dying. It was also my mom being thrown out the bus, losing all of her memory at that time.
My God.
Having to nurse her back to health. When I went back home to North Carolina, my mom, her memory was so gone, she couldn't tell you if her bank account was at SunTrust or Bank of America, or if her, energy bill was from Piedmont or Duke Energy. And so I had to piece together my mom's life while working at JP Morgan because I had to make money, right? In the top 10% of performers, and still having to grieve my dad, and also having to hold my mom, because my mom and my dad were together for 35 years. And then
This is all they knew.
you lose your partner. Like they've been together since they were 23.
Yeah.
And so I was overwhelmed. And I was like, if you guys want to keep my degree, whatever, you can keep it. And next thing you know, the balance was cleared. Somebody paid it. And I still don't know to this day who paid my balance. And then I didn't want to go to graduation, but it meant a lot to my mom. And I only went because my mom was like, okay, I want to see my child graduate from MIT. Going to MIT was my dad's dream. And the week before he died, I sent him my MIT transcript showing him that I had completed my entire degree, and he died a week later.
So we got to see it.
He got to see it. And so at MIT, also for graduation, if you don't pick up your cap and gown, you can't graduate. And you're the only one who could pick up your cap and gown. And I was like, I don't care.
Fine. Send it to me.
I was like,
I don't need it.
I was like, don't. I was like, you can keep that cap and gown. It's ugly anyways. And
You're a mess.
And
I love you.
they were like, oh, you're exempt from that. We sent somebody to get your cap and gown. We have everything you need. And also you only have 4 tickets to the MIT graduation because, it's such a tight space. And they were like, you can have as many tickets as you need. What do you need?
I mean, the support from this organization is unreal.
It's unreal, but it's one of those
And
things
how many
where
students were graduating?
in my class, 400, but 5,000 from the institution.
See, and that's crazy.
5,000.
That out of 400, they made you feel like you were the only student graduating that year.
I will
You were that
never
special to them.
forget it. Never. MIT can have all my coins.
Don't say that too loud. Because you about to have some coins.
Because I was taking care of my mom, emotionally and mentally and even sometimes physically, my grief process was delayed. I had to just put it up on the shelf and figure out how to keep my family together and moving along. And I had, 5 other siblings as well. And so, once I actually started to address my grief process, I realized that the level of loneliness that I felt and just how dark of a place that I got to with processing how I lost my dad, why I lost my dad, just trying to wrap my head around it, it made me realize that, I had everything to the outside world. I had all the awards, all the accolades. I had all the degrees and all the praise, but I was starting to feel like I wasn't experiencing real connection in a meaningful way. And so that was the impetus to leave to start Squad, the technology company. And the way I got to skydiving was just in my founder journey. At some point, I was like, man, this is really stressful. And I have to find a way to feel more free.
Yeah, because entrepreneurship will do that shit to you.
February 17th, I get the news that I have cancer.
And this was
This is the day I was supposed to sign, by the way. That's why I had to sign. And I was like, oh. I was like, so February 17th, I found out that I had 3 tumors on my left breast.
Okay.
And they were cancer.
And
Triple negative breast cancer.
tell me what that means for people that don't know.
So people that don't know, everybody thinks breast cancer, it all looks the same. It doesn't. Everyone has different types of cancer. Someone's hormone, someone's not. Mine was not hormone. Mine was just, it is what it is. It's a very aggressive cancer that affects majority of Black and brown women.
Wow.
Young women. I was 37 at the time. No family history at all.
None. On your mom's side, your dad's side, 0.
By the way, when I say like no cancer at all, like no cancer at all on both sides. So that's why I was feeling so confident when I went to go do,
Yeah, you're like, this isn't even a thing in my family, whatever. This is a lymph node.
No, it's no big deal. If anything, it's probably something they'll take out, whatever it is.
So when the doctor says that to you, and the doctor calls you and says,
Yeah, I know exactly.
you've got breast
I was
cancer,
in my
you've got 3
dining
tumors.
room table in my old house. One of my friends came to visit me. I couldn't blow dry my hair because I had the biopsy.
Okay.
She was like, oh, I was going to go blow dry my hair. She's like, I'll just blow dry your hair for you. Just blow dry my hair. Oh, and I was like, oh, it's the hospital. They're just calling me now. It's going to be great. My husband was away for work at that time, February.
Yes, I know what that means.
And I get the call and they're like, I'm so sorry to tell you, but it's cancer. And I was like,
Holy shit.
exactly. I was like, holy shit. I had to pick up my son at school. So I was like, okay. I was like, okay, it is cancer, but I have to go in on Monday and like talk to them. We don't know what it is. Like, no one like freak out. My mom was there. Everybody was like kind of like freaking out. And I was like, relax. I was like, I have to go pick up Zayden. I was like, so everyone
focus.
chill out.
Yeah.
No emotions. Stay focused. So I called my husband on the way to school and I cried a little bit at that moment. I was like, okay, it is. And like, I don't even know his reaction at that moment. I think he was like, okay, we got this. Let me make some calls. Like, we'll get you in right away. And I was like, okay. I picked up Zayden and I still, like there's moments in your life where you remember exactly. I remember getting off, like parking, getting off, walking up to school, like, Zayden, okay, it's Friday. It was a Friday. I was like, okay, Shabbat Shalom. I grabbed him, got in the car, and I was just like, fake it all the way. It was fine. Get home. Zahara, Zia, we've got everyone. We've got a lot of moving pieces, little kids. My mom is like, panicking.
Full
and
panic mode.
I'm like, calmate. Everyone calm down.
You didn't even want to touch the emotion. You
No,
didn't
no,
even
no.
want to start thinking.
No. I went to bed and I woke up in a complete panic attack, which I've never experienced.
What did that feel like for you?
There
Panic
was-
attack.
Okay. Do you know when you see images and videos of like people, like the water is starting to rise and you're trying so hard to kind of like catch up, but the water's rising and you don't know what, that's what it felt like. Like there's something
drowning.
there was an elephant on my chest and I was drowning. I got up and I like went outside and I just bawled my life away. I was like, I asked for something new.
Something new.
I asked for something fresh.
But I didn't want this.
And I did not want this. I was like, I have a 2-year-old. I was like, what are we doing? I was like, you clearly got the wrong person. I was like, I try to do everything good.
This isn't for me. I'm a good person.
This is not what's supposed to be happening. I was mad.
Yeah.
I was furious.
You started off with why, and then I'm pissed off.
I'm pissed off.
I'm 37. I have 3 kids. I'm trying to figure out my career. I just bought a new fucking house.
What the fuck?
What's happening?
What the fuck is going on?
And so you get this information, you know what you have to do, and then the doctor says, this is the prognosis. Did you want to hear the prognosis or no? Did you say,
No.
don't tell me anything? What do I have to do? Because you're focused.
I don't even think you understand how mad I was.
Okay, I want to know. I want to know how mad you were.
So mad.
Oh, so you didn't even want to have these conversations.
No, I was like such a bitch to my oncologist. Like, I don't even know if she still likes me to this day.
She hates you. No, I'm just kidding.
She tells me all the time, I love you.
She loves you.
Joanna.
You're easy to love.
But I was just like, what? I was like, what is it that you want me to do? Like, why do I have to do this? I questioned everything. Why am I taking this? Why do I have to do 17 rounds of chemo? Why can't I just do 12 rounds of chemo? And then you can check. And then the tumor is gone. And then she was like, no, because this is what works. And this is what we know works. And I was just like, well, you have to try something else.
So you were in your bag of, I'm a researcher, I'm smart, I'm competitive, I'm going to beat this thing. It's not going to beat me. So what is it?
Yeah, I was just so like, no. I was like, yes, you do think at that moment, like, I am going to die. Because, right? You're like, oh my God, am I going to die? I think about it probably that one day that I was crying, that I woke up after.
You allowed yourself the one day.
I legit was like, okay, I'm going to give myself like my pity party. And then I've got to get up and keep it moving. I've got 3 kids. Like, what am I going to do? And I was like, oh, wait. So, like, I'm just going to, no, this is not my style. I was like, let's go. So, no, I didn't. I was like, whatever. I was like, let's do what we have to do. So I had to do 17 rounds of chemotherapy. Then I had to have a double mastectomy.
How did you do with the chemo? Because everybody doesn't react to chemo the same way.
No, but I was healthy. And I think that
Dancer background, fit, you're crazy about your diet and exercise.
And I was young. So I had a lot of things that were working with me, not against me. So thank God. I'm not going to tell you it was easy. Chemotherapy is awful.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to slice that.
Right.
It was bad. I had a poor, by the way, my kids did not know.
About any of this?
No.
You never told them?
I never told them.
That was my what? What were you going to say? That was my thing?
That was my one thing. I was like, you were not allowed to come into my house and go, how are you feeling?
Yeah. I don't want to see
that.
that.
Oh my God, don't pity me. I was like, don't do that. I was like, stop it. I was like, I got this.
And what did you tell your husband?
I was like, if you want,
he's not allowed to communicate with the kids about this at all.
No, we never spoke to them. We never spoke about any of it in front of the kids. But they were very little, so I think I had the opportunity to get away with that. It doesn't work for every family, and there's no right or wrong answer on what you should do and how to react to this with your kids. I think it just depends. What are my kids gonna do?
Yeah.
Like I kept saying, look, are they gonna help me? I'm just gonna give them something to worry about.
Right.
Remember, I was still freelancing. I was on air.
You're still on air.
I was still on air.
You're still on air.
I was still, like,
You were
I would
still
go
working.
to chemo on Tuesdays, and sometimes I would have to work on Wednesdays.
Did they know at the station? No one knew.
No.
Who knew? Who did you talk to? Who was your support system?
I had my closest friends,
Okay.
my family, and that's it. No one
No one
at my
at the Heat
husband.
knew? So that's why I'm asking you, because you said to me, were you guys at the Heat then?
Yeah, because I don't recall at that moment, like, because no one knew.
No one knew.
No one knew.
Close friends, family, your
I mean,
husband.
we have like very close friends that my husband works with that are like family that
They
you
didn't
know of.
know?
No. I wasn't, that was one thing that I was like, no one is allowed to know. Because the reason why, if people know, when people see me at a game, when people see me at an event, when people see me at work, if I'm with my kids, what do you think they're going to say?
How are you feeling?
Oh my gosh, how are you feeling? Are you?
You didn't want that.
And I was like,
You didn't
would
want that
never-
pobrecita energy, right?
I was like, you would never treat me like that. You would say hi and keep it moving.
So this was a protection.
Yeah, it was protecting
This
my
was,
kids.
you had to create a boundary to protect your children.
Well, I had to protect my kids, but I also had to protect my mental health. And I also had to stay focused, laser focused on getting to July 3rd, which was my last day of my chemotherapy. And I had it written down like, this is it. This is the day.
On the calendar,
that
with a red,
I
with a circle, with a
will-
bullseye.
With a bullseye.
And then tell me, the minute the chemo was over, then did you have the double
I had a
mastectomy?
double mastectomy like 6 weeks after. And they called me back in and they're like, you have to do more chemo. And I was like,
Okay.
but then the way the universe works, it's like, so I had my mastectomy. I'm healing from my mastectomy.
And how does that feel? How does that, people have surgery all the time, but
Yeah.
take us through the emotion of being a woman, being a young woman, being a breastfeeding mom, and knowing I have to eliminate these breasts from my life to save my life. Or
But I
you didn't
didn't.
have that thought. Tell me.
Because I did it, and they're still there.
They're still there.
They're just stuffed differently.
Okay. Okay.
They're just stuffed differently, but like you
still there.
can't. They're
Yeah.
still there. They're still. It's my skin. I did a nipple sparing. They're my nipples. So
Okay.
yes.
Got it.
Do I have scars? Uh-huh.
But we all have scars.
Do they look different? Do they don't look as pretty as they used to, maybe?
But boy, they saved your life.
But they're here.
They're here. And you're here.